welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Between mitigating shocks and empowering vulnerable populations, National Solidarity Week 2023. And on to national sport as a springboard for tourism in Dubai in the Middle East. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. Mitigation of shocks and recovery of the vulnerable population. It is under this theme that is the National Week of Solidarity 2023, which was officially launched this morning at the People's Palace. A solemn ceremony sponsored by the Prime Minister himself, His Excellency Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, and organized by the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity. An opportunity for the government, in particular for the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity, to inform the general public about the multiple large-scale actions carried out by the ministry in close collaboration with its technical and financial partners, and this is with a view to redefining the strategic priorities of the policy of the President of the Republic in the fight against poverty and precariousness. It should be noted that this National Solidarity Week is an initiative of President Gele. It has been celebrated every year since 2008. This annual event, chaired by the Prime Minister, was attended by several members of the government authorities of the interior regions, development partners of the government, representatives of UN organizations, several personalities invited to this day, but also and especially several beneficiaries who have benefited from various programs and actions implemented by the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity and the Djiboutian Agency for Social Development. Thus, from January 8th to 2023, the officials of the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity will go to meet the populations of the regions and review the achievements. This week will focus on the government's major projects aimed at supporting and strengthening the capacities of the most vulnerable. This week is also an opportunity to popularize the government's strategic priorities, including the National Strategy for Social Protection for the period of 2018 to 2022 and the 2035 vision of the Republic of Djibouti. Thus, the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity is continuously investing in a social protection and solidarity base that promotes the strengthening of human capital and increases the productivity and resilience of its population. During the launching ceremony of the National Solidarity Week, many reports on the actions of MAS and ADDS were shown, as well as testimonies of beneficiaries of different social programs. This was followed by speeches by the Minister of Communication in charge of Posts and Telecommunications, Mr. Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon, and the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Madam Ulufa Ismail Abdo. Speaking at the podium of this event, the Minister of Communication in charge of Posts and Telecommunications, Mr. Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon, stressed that this week would be a week of retrospection for the MAS and the ministerial departments concerned with the issues of solidarity. For her part, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Madam Ulufa Ismail Abdo, indicated that this week will be an opportunity to present the main lines of intervention in the flagship projects of MAS to support the most vulnerable households. Closing the series of interventions of this day, Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed congratulated the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity and the ADDS for all the work done to strengthen the resilience of poor households facing shocks and indigenous shocks. At the end of the speeches, the officials present at the ceremony handed out certificates to the different beneficiaries of the programs implemented by MAS and ADS. These programs of resilience and fight against poverty have been successful for these people who not only managed to get out of poverty, but also succeeded in making their activity fruitful in paying back the credit granted to them by the CEPEC. Also during the ceremony, an important fund was given to the credit union funds, giving in the form of a check. This fund will allow CEPEC to help people or households in financial distress, to enable them to launch their own activity, to take charge, and to be independent, to overcome the poverty line, and to free themselves from assistance. After the torrential rains that fell on the capital and in the interior regions with the risk of proliferation of insects and mosquitoes of diseases, the Minister of Agriculture, Mohammed Ahmed Awal, and Dr. Ahmed Robli Abdullah, Minister of Health, conducted this morning an inspection of the space spray aircraft at this airport of Djibouti to prepare the launch of the space spray campaign throughout the country. This spraying campaign will start tomorrow in the different communes of the capital to ensure the spreading of pesticides to stop the proliferation of mosquitoes and flies, vectors of diseases. After the capital, the plane will go to the interior regions. This initiative of space spraying campaign to fight against the anti-vectorial is an initiative of the President of the Republic. The main coordinator of the project's progress is Baragoita Saeed Mohammed. To recall that the test of the plane was carried out yesterday and that this campaign initiated by the President of the Republic intervenes after the rains made following the torrential rains which touched our country, especially in this period of winter. The Ministry of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, Livestock, and Fisheries Resources, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Awali, recalled that the aircraft is operational to fight against all the insect and mosquitoes. And he recalled that this operation contributes to the efforts of the government to fight against the phenomena caused by mosquitoes and insects. It is this Sunday, January 8, in the region of Oboh that the Minister Delegate in charge of decentralization, Mr. Qasim Harun Ali, began his tour of the interior regions, accompanied by his colleague, Minister of Sport, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamil, but also a strong delegation composed of senior officials of his department. The Minister in charge of decentralization went to Oboh. This regional tour is part of the ministerial program as mentioned in the roadmap of the ministry. The objective of the tour was to inquire about the progress of development projects initiated by the ministry in charge of decentralization, among others, within the framework of the project of ADIL initiated in the city of Oboh and its sub-locations, but also in order to exchange with the population to discuss and get acquainted with the situations of the region. After the warm welcome at the residence of the prefect, the Minister of Decentralization, Mr. Qasim Harun Ali, and his delegation took direction towards the Regional Council of Oboh. It is with this in mind that Mr. Qasim Harun Ali met with the Coordination Committee for Regional Development, which is a leading body in terms of decision-making and inclusive development of the region. A proximity meeting animated by participatory and frank discussions in which took part besides the CCDR, OCALs, religious leaders, women's associations, youth representatives, officials of technical services, and taking the floor in turn, each speaker has freely expressed his concerns, expectations, comments, and suggestions. The minister delegate in charge of decentralization answered all the questions and concerns of the speakers and promised to act as an interface between the population and the ministers concerned and to pass on information concerning the letter. Under the impetus of the Ministry of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hibu Mumin Asawi launched at the Community Development Center of the Marjoga training in driving vehicle in categories of B and C for the benefit of 30 young boys and girls affiliated with the Association Destin active in the region. This training will spread over 3 months starting this Sunday, January 8, under the supervision of the Direction of Economic Integration of Young People and the direction of the regions of MJC. In his speech, the sub-prefect of the region, the same time, head of village, Mr. Hussein Hassan Ahmed, welcomed this initiative, thanking the Ministry of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hibo, for her constant support to boost the promotion of socio-professional integration of youth. For his part, the director of MJC regions, Mr. Suleiman Hamad Abdi, recalled that this training meets the will of Her Excellency Dr. Hibo, who, in accordance with her responsibilities, is committed to promoting the insertion and employability of young people by creating 2 directorates responsible for the implementation of strategies to enhance the inclusive economic promotion of youth. As part of sports activities, the Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. Ali Shadeli, offered sports equipment to a team of Djibourian Youth Handball yesterday morning in the direction of the Djibourian Handball Federation. In the presence of the President of the Djibourian Handball Federation, the deputy handed over the equipment to the person in charge of the handball team, Mr. Gabir, and to the captain of the team. On this occasion, the President of the FDH, Mr. Ahmed Mohammed Tahir, thanked the Honorable Member of Parliament for this act of solidarity. Still in the same context, under the aegis of the State Secretary in charge of sports, the Djibourian Handball Federation launched its 2022-2023 sports season of the National Handball Championship yesterday in the city. The launch of the Men's Women's Handball Championships was attended by many personalities, members of the FDH board, club leaders, and representatives of various federations. On the program of the day, there were 3 matches, including a women's game in the men's league. The first game was between the Lionheart Club and the Coast Guard team. After an drawn match where both teams showed a series of offensive moves on both sides as well as some nice technical moves. The victory went to the Lionheart Club, who beat their opponent by 1917. Finally, it was the turn of the women's championship with the meeting between the club Rasdika and Rahiba. The Tigers of Rasdika severely beat the opposing team by a score of 35 to 3. The last game of the day put face to face the Transit Dita team and the Shadili Club, and the victory goes to Transit Data players with a score of 31st to 17. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, the Middle East is becoming the fastest growing sports tourism destination in the world. With an estimated value of 550 billion euros, tourists there spend an average of 4,500 euros on their trip on accommodation, transportation, and sightseeing. The Emirate of Dubai, in particular, is benefiting. The latest figures show that the sports sector has contributed more than 2 billion euros to its economy, which represents 2.3% of its annual GDP. Well, by this, our blood viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.